Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Farzy Show, presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com, here from the Steven Singer Studios. Phillies drop another one, this time to the New York Rangers. Alec Boehm again has some struggles at third base, but he's still raking in the lineup. And JJ Reddick questions Doc Rivers, much to the pleasing ear of a 76ers fan. Oh my goodness, it was like the old honey potion in the ear. It was the silver-tongued devil. JJ Reddick whispering those sweet nothings in the Sixers fans' ears. That was just perfection yesterday. In case you didn't see it, we'll play it for you a little bit later in the show, but it is exactly what a lot of you guys were saying about what the 76ers need to do with their big man without Joel Embiid being available in this series to this point. We'll see if he is available for Game 3. We'll see if he's available for Game 4. I'm particularly hoping he's available for Game 3 because I got invited to go to the game, so I'm going to go to the game with my buddy Bennett. They're going to have themselves a good time. But I hope he is back for that game. Let's start it off with this comment from JJ Reddick, because I know a lot of people are honed in on this. This made me feel like JJ Reddick needs to be the next head coach of the 76ers. And although I don't really think at that point, I don't think he's at that point in his life where he's thinking about coaching yet, but if he is, and Doc Rivers is done after this year, maybe a friendly little interview, at least, with JJ Reddick, just to let him know what could be waiting for him down the line, if he does want to get it. Now, I know he said when he retired, he wanted to spend some time with his family. He's got, 2 young boys, I believe. I think that's more the direction he wants to go for this current time. Plus, he played a long time, made the playoffs all but 1 year, I believe his last year of his career. So I think he's doing okay in the spot that he's in now. But after you hear this, tell me if it doesn't jump to mind, maybe, just maybe one day, JJ Reddick might make himself a nice coaching career for himself. But here is JJ Reddick yesterday on First Take talking about what the Sixers need to do. First, he tries to answer the question about James Harden. And I'm right on board with this whole thing about James Harden. Next, he talks about Doc Rivers and his good friend who he played with in L.A. and also played for Doc Rivers and also played with his good friend DeAndre Jordan about what DeAndre Jordan's status should be right now in the NBA playoffs. Here's JJ Reddick yesterday.
I don't know why we would expect more from Harden. He's shown over the last year and change that this is the player he is. But at this point of his career, he's a facilitator, he's a playmaker, but he is not the volume scorer that we saw in Houston. And to me, the adjustment is not for James to look to score more. They had a lot of success when they went small and they attacked. They couldn't buy a three-point bucket. And they also had a lot of success when they went to that zone. 23 possessions in zone last night, 0.65 points per possession. The 71 possessions in half court and man, Miami scored 1.13 points per possession. So to me, this is more about let's adjust the lineup a little bit. DeAndre Jordan, as much as I love him, a dear friend, at this point, I don't think he should be starting in a playoff game. Start Paul Reed, and then at times go small with Tobias Harris and George Niang out on the court. Spread them out. Give Harden space, give Maxey space, give Tobias Harris space, and shoot threes.
That's such a breath of fresh air.
I think that's Legler at the end there. Breath of fresh air. First of all, I wouldn't be shocked at all if you told me JJ Reddick was like, yeah, just shoot threes. Like, yeah, no doubt, of course. But when it comes to all the other things, like Paul Reed starting over DeAndre Jordan, now I'll go back to this again. DeAndre Jordan, I know, is not the answer. Joel Embiid is the only answer. But Paul Reed is the closest thing you have to the answer, yet still pretty far away. But he's still the best version of yourself. If he gets the fouls, you deal with it. If he doesn't get the fouls, then you enjoy what he's going to be able to bring to the table for you. As far as James Harden goes, I was on 2 separate shows yesterday. I was doing a guest spot. Both shows asked me if James Harden can snap it back into gear. No. An emphatic no is the answer to that question. No, he cannot snap it back in. National media has put it out there time and time again since Joel Embiid's announcement, since the announcement of Joel Embiid last Friday. Can James Harden carry the Sixers? Oh, the event that Joel Embiid goes down, could James Harden step in and carry? No, he cannot. He ain't that guy anymore. People are still waiting for this Houston James Harden to come back out on the court. And that Houston James Harden Wasn't even in Brooklyn the last last season and a half, I should say. Please. We're going to be looking at 32-year-old James Harden going, oh, yeah, this guy, he's going to revert back to when he was 26, 27 years old all of a sudden. 32, bum hamstring, yeah, I ain't buying it. Not happening. I'd love for it to happen. It's not going to happen. Rooting for it, not betting on it. He ain't that guy anymore. He does not have that speed. He does not have that quickness anymore. Hell, he doesn't even have, not that he was ever like a 45% shooter from beyond the arc or anything off the charts like that, but he is not going to be the guy that all of a sudden, instead of shooting 2 for 7, is going to be 5 for 7 from beyond the arc. Could that happen in a game or two? Yeah, maybe, but not likely. That's not the way James Harden has played. And that's certainly not the way he has played here with the 76ers. And even in a game where you don't have Joel Embiid playing, James Harden still has yet to hit you like 10 shots in a game. He still hasn't done that. I believe he did it 7 times this year with the Brooklyn Nets. He hasn't hit 10 shots in a game for you so far as a 76er. And now without Joel Embiid, you kind of need him to be that guy. The only concern I have is the concern that I've had this entire time that James Harden has been here, which is I don't need an overly aggressive James Harden that we got in game 1 against the Heat. I need the very well within his playing range right now, very well within his skill set right now, James Harden, that played game 6 against the Raptors. Let the game come to you. Don't force anything. If a guy like PJ Tucker is going to be all over you, guess what? You ain't beating that. Maybe you'll get the occasional open 3. Maybe you'll have that lane that you can go to the basket. Maybe a pick will actually be there for you, and you can beat anybody to the basket in that regard because they set a pick for you. Maybe that's when you can actually get to the basket. Maybe that's when you can get to the free throw line for an N1. But until that defense gives you that, James Harden ain't taking it. That's the difference. James Harden can't take what he wants now against the defense. He has to take what he is given against the defense. And that's the biggest difference between this Houston James Harden I keep hearing so much about and watched and enjoyed and marveled at when he was in Houston. But that guy isn't there anymore. And he's certainly not going to magically appear for the 76ers right now with Joel Embiid being out. I would love for it to happen. I'd love for him to go for 40 tonight. I'd love for him to be unstoppable tonight. Just not betting on that happening. I still go along the lines of the 2 guys that I think have a much better chance of helping you win these games, at least win this game tonight. 7:30 tip-off for game 2 is Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey. Maxey was the guy that jumped out to me at game 1 that was trying to do way too much. We'll talk about that more in a second. But as far as this DeAndre Jordan thing goes, 33 years old, still's got the spring in his legs for like 1 or 2 oops a game. And that was my big concern coming to Philadelphia. Can he still do that? And I had a Lakers fan write me in the comments after the show one day saying, oh, he's been doing it all year with the Lakers. I'm like, all year? That's interesting. I don't think that, no, he hasn't. Plus, you don't need 1 or 2. You need 4 quarters worth of that. You need 30 minutes of that. And he ain't doing it. So now all of a sudden the playoffs, he's going to be able to do that? Yeah, I don't think so. I know that Doc Rivers looks at DeAndre Jordan and says, I know this guy well. I had him in L.A. We watched him out there when there was the Clippers, obviously. We watched him with Brooklyn. He's still got that hop. I know what I'm going to get. There's a sense of security. There's a sense of knowing when it comes to DeAndre Jordan. That ain't better than Paul Reed. Not overall. Not defensively, rebounding-wise, no. Defensively, no. All you're getting is less fouls. I'll roll the dice because I know whenever Paul Reed's going to be in there, previous to his maybe 6th foul, I'll be getting better basketball. I'll live with that better basketball and live with the fouls if I have to. And that's what Doc Rivers has to do right now. And it can't be up to the team. A major adjustment he has to make is saying, if it really was up to the team, and I'm not buying it, by the way. Oh, no, I talked to the guys, and the guys said they wanted a roller. Okay, that's great. How about talking to the guys and saying, guys, let's put the best 5 out there that we can for as long as we can, and then we'll deal with it. Because that's more along the lines of what Paul Reed can give you, and that's more along the lines, of what a head coach should be able to do. When he's setting a lineup. guys, I know you wanted this, and it didn't work too well. Let's go back with Paul Reed. I doubt that Doc Rivers is going to do that because, like it or not, DeAndre Jordan is going to be the starter for this series as long as Joel Embiid is not available. Like it or not, regardless of what film Doc Rivers goes and watches, like it or not, Paul Reed's on the bench, DeAndre Jordan's starting. And that got me thinking yesterday about two things. One, a fun thing I had a little back and forth with Dave Zingaro of NBC Sports about how, like it or not, is such a gauntlet drop. Like at the end of anything, like it or not, is just funny. And he was like, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Like it or not, like at the end of every day that will live in infamy, like it or not, like whatever it might be, like it or not is such a gauntlet drop. We found it hilarious. But when it comes to Doc Rivers and the whole like it or not situation, it kind of brought me back to Ben Simmons, and not the drama-filled Ben Simmons of this past offseason, but the basketball player Ben Simmons at the end of games last year in the playoffs. You want me to bench Ben Simmons? You want me to take Ben Simmons out of a game? Well, yeah, if the other team's fouling him, like they were in the Wizards series, and later we're doing in the Hawks series, yeah, take him off the floor so he can't be fouled and go to the line and miss his free throws. He's costing you opportunities at that point. You want to take Ben Simmons out of a game? Yes. I'll let Ben Simmons out of a game. I'll take Ben Simmons out of a game. Next game, Ben Simmons out in the end of the fourth quarter. Maybe there's a turnaround for Doc Rivers. Maybe he does an about face. Maybe he does an about face after kissing Ben Simmons' ass for an entire year and then mocking a media member who asked him, well, did you ever think about benching Ben Simmons? And then he benched Ben Simmons. Maybe there's a turnaround. Maybe that film is something that in the moment he says one thing and then he watches the film and afterwards he goes, maybe we'll start Paul Reed. Let's hope that Paul Reed starts today because that's when I'll know the Sixers have put their best foot forward. Not certainly their best foot with Joel Embiid, but their best foot without Joel Embiid. Because, unfortunately, Daryl Morey had to include Andre Drummond in that little trade to the Nets, and you don't have a backup center, except the best one you have right now is that guy, B-Ball Paul. Let's cross our fingers, folks, that Doc actually does it tonight. JJ Reddick knows. Why doesn't Doc Rivers know? JJ Reddick knows. Why doesn't Doc Rivers know? All right, we'll get more on the Sixers. We'll get more into that with our friend Roy Burton coming up in the Broad Street line in just a second. But let's get into this. Phillies lost last night 6-4. We haven't talked a lot of Phillies since that sweep. There's been a lot of other things happening here. The draft obviously took place, and the Sixers were starting their playoff series against. They were wrapping up their playoff series against the Raptors, and then the Sixers obviously started their playoff series with the Heat. But Alec Boehm has been on a tear at the plate. He's been really phenomenal at the dish. Yesterday had a late strikeout, but had another 2 hits in the game. He's hitting .322. He's got a .380 on base percentage. Last night you had Nick Castellanos out of the lineup. So your best hitter in the lineup was Alec Boehm. And Joe Girardi actually moved him up into the 2 spot. And not only did he get to 2 hits, he also scored a run, which was great. But the defensive job of a third baseman showed its responsibility and its importance in the 6th inning of last night. You have an opportunity with the score tied to maybe get it out of this inning unharmed. And Alec Boehm's man in the hot corner. There's a sharply hit ground ball to him at third base. He has the opportunity with a runner on first to try to turn 2. Can't get the ball out of his mitt. Runner at second is safe. He ends up scoring later in the inning to take the lead, a 4-3 lead, and he can't throw the guy out at first base either. So now you have runners on first and second in that situation with nobody out. Then later in the inning, similar situation. Alec Boehm in the first instance couldn't turn 2 because he couldn't get the ball out of his mitt on the transfer, so he threw to first late, not in time. Later in the inning, runner on third base. You have an opportunity to get it out in the inning. Ground ball to Alec Boehm. He charges. Bobbled the ball in his mitt, not as egregiously, if that's a word, not as bad as he did the first time around, but still gave the runner a couple of more steps. Finally got the ball out, through to first, safe. 2 plays, same inning, 3 runs ended up scoring, and Alec Boehm couldn't make a simple transfer in that instance. I don't give him a pass by any means. We always talk about mistakes, especially if they're costly. He has been your best hitter and one of your most consistent hitters in this lineup. And since the 3-error game that he had, he has been a lot better. It reared its ugly head again yesterday, and it showed its inconsistency. At some point, you got to be able to get to this guy and help him in the field. I don't know who's going to do it on the Phillies bench. I don't know who's going to be out there with him, taking grounders, working on transfers. And this is all basic stuff. He's been great at the plate, but what he's been doing at third base has been subpar. Let's put it that way. And I know now you have a designated hitter in the National League, and it's only a matter of time before you see him start to take a little bit more reps that way. But Bryce Harper, not being able to play into the field over the last couple of weeks, has been a problem. It's been taking up that DH spot for the Phils, and that has had to go to him to keep his bat in the lineup. And Bryce Harper hasn't even been the red-hot hitter yet that we know he can be, maybe a little bit later in the season, and right now maybe with this injury, maybe it's time to sit him down for a little bit, give him a break, so this isn't something that's going to be lingering for another month or so, and have Alec Boehm DH for you a little bit more, have Alec Boehm play that role for the Phillies more so than what you have seen him do so far this year. And if they're able to do that, maybe he can snap out of that funk that he's in at third base. Give him a break from the hot corner. Have him take the grounders, have him do the pregame warm-ups, all that stuff. But when it comes to being in the game, Alec wants to take a couple of DH spots here. Maybe you'll split that with Kyle Schwarber, who still can't, like, if he's not hitting home runs, he's either striking out or he's flying out. And last night was an example of that. I thought he gave that ball at the end of the game a nice little ride, but it wasn't enough to keep the game going, obviously. So for me, Schwarber takes the 0 for 5 mark in the ball game last night as he continues to struggle with his average down to 188 on the season. Ranger Suarez, a little bit snake-bitten in last night's game. We'll see if the Phillies are able to bounce back today. But the Phils now 11-13 on the season. They won just that one game, the middle game of the 3-game set with the Mets, and sweeping the Colorado Rockies in their 4-game series. So we'll see if the Phillies are able to bounce back and hopefully put a win together, a couple of wins together, starting with a win tonight. Let me tell you about the great people at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Oh, and to no surprise, Chuck Fletcher, when he addressed the media yesterday for the Flyers, Mike Yeo is out. He will not be back. He will not have the interim tag removed from his name, as opposed to just having the Flyers organization removed from his name, as he will not be back as the Flyers head coach next season. And I really feel bad for Sam Moran. He's done. His playing career is over. It didn't even really start with the ACL injury, a number of injuries he's had to overcome. And I just remember thinking when they drafted him, it was right at the end of Chris Pronger's career, and it was the beginning of his career in the Flyers front office. And you were talking about a big burly defenseman, what he could grow into, and you're talking about Chris Pronger. That was his hero growing up, supposedly, and he wanted to model his play after him, this big burly defenseman, and it just didn't come to fruition. And I remember hoping that like everybody would with a first-round pick, that this guy would be incredible at the NHL level. And because of injuries, he never really got that opportunity. And I give him all the credit in the world for going with the Flyers, 2 years ago, or last year rather, and moving to wing from defense and then going back to defense. And I remember his first goal, there's few instances where I've been more excited or more happy for a player than I was for Sam Moran when he scored his first goal. But hat tip to him on a career that unfortunately just didn't pan out due to injury. And now the Flyers will start their search for the next head coach as well, as Chuck Fletcher addressed the media to let us know all that yesterday. Let me tell you right now about the great people at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Oh, and one more thing for the Phillies. A.J. Brown threw out the first pitch. New Eagles wide receiver, A.J. Brown. A little heat on that, baby. Turns out he actually played baseball. Not bad. Let me tell you about Mike Seibert at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. He's a retirement income certified professional. Folks, are you thinking about retirement? Have you not thought about retirement yet? Come on. Now's the time to start. You're young, starting your career. Start planning for retirement with my man, Mike Seibert, at Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. He's a retirement income certified professional, Destination Retirement LLC, and a partner of 1847 Financial, and an advisor for Eagles, Phillies, and Sixers fans only. And now officially, next year, Flyers, maybe next year. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? Don't do that. The answer is to have income streams in retirement. It only makes sense then to understand how retirement income streams work so that you can direct savings in ways that give you the highest income when you retire. Think of it like climbing a mountain. Do you just go up the mountain and that's it? No, you got to get back down the mountain. Going up the mountain is your accumulation phase. Going back down the mountain is your distribution phase. That's how you got to think of it. These are the two phases of your financial life, and each should be addressed separately. This month, let's talk about college planning. We all know that college is expensive. Well, have you ever thought about how it will affect your retirement? Let Mike show you an efficient way to help pay for your kids' college education and still retire on your own terms. The first step is to avoid starting your growth cycle over by depleting accounts like 529s for big expenses like college, of course. If you don't want to lose your position on your growth cycle and you don't want to have to start over, give my man Mike Cyber to call or visit destinationretirement.com. You can't get that time back. Instead, set yourself up with the ability to use vehicles that you can take money out of without starting your growth cycle over again. Find out how your annual retirement savings can help your college savings and how your college savings can help your annual retirement savings. Michael, set up your own portal and retirement analyzer, then use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. For questions or to set up a meeting with Mike, email him at gobirds@1847financial.com. That's gobirds@1847financial.com, or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. You can also visit his website at destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds. And hopefully tonight, that's right, hopefully tonight we play this song. Let me tell you about Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right on Jewelers Row, right in Philadelphia, or at IHateStevenSinger.com. Right now available at IHateStevenSinger.com. These beautiful creamsicle gold-dipped 24-karat gold dipped roses. Long peach petals that are absolutely pristine and beautiful and will let mom know just how much you love her and how much you appreciate those moments of your childhood. Well, mom would give you a creamsicle. The brand new creamsicle rose from Steven Singer Jewelers. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, online at IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price, the perfect price. IHateStevenSinger.com. Get your gold dip rose creamsicle edition starting at just $59 for Mother's Day to let mom let you know just how much you love her. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, talk to our friend Roy Burton about all things Sixers for the Broad Street line. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, a man I used to interview when I used to do this little show called the 700 Level Show, a man I miss dearly, Mr. Roy Burton of the Broad Street Line. What's up, Roy?
Mr. Mark Barzetta, how's it going, man?
Going fantastic, Oh, that's shameless plug. Yes. I'm going to be on with you this weekend. Am I not on the Broad Street Line?
This is true. Mark will be joining us on the Broad Street Line this Saturday at 10 a.m., 106.5 FM. Check it out.
There you go. And you guys can listen to that even without me. I mean, it's probably better. It's probably better without me. I come in and I bring you and KD. I just bring you right down is what I do. Roy, let's talk some Sixers, man. I want to believe. I want to have confidence. I want to enjoy what I think is Embiid or no Embiid, the last series I'm going to see the Sixers play this year. Who's going to be the guy to carry this team? Is it James Harden? Is it Tobias Harris? Is it Tyrese Maxey? Is he going to still shoot threes from the freaking logo as he was in game one? Like, who's going to be the guy you're most confident in coming in to maybe save this team?
It sounds weird to say it because if you asked me this question a month ago and I gave you this answer, you'd probably look at me like I had three heads. But I think the man's going to be Tobias Harris. He's been fantastic in the playoffs. He played his defense has been excellent over these first 7 games, and again offensively he was the star of game one if you want to call anybody a star. Right. He was the best offensive player on the court for the Sixers in game one. Tobias is that X factor. Like, he's going to be the guy. I think we know what we're going to get with James Harden, and I'm sure we'll talk about him in a second. And Tyrese Maxey's 21 years old, so he's going to have his good games and he's going to have his bad games. I think the X factor is going to be Tobias Harris, and if Tobias can give you those game one types of performances going forward, maybe the Sixers can steal a couple games before, or like a game, let's say, before Joel comes back.
Yeah, I like the idea of Tobias Harris being more like the earrings on the pig. Like, I don't know if we had a star of the game and like the earrings on the pig. Yes. Before we get to the rest of these guys, am I justified in losing my mind over Paul Reed? I was with Doc, like, we're not going to go on the Paul Reed victory tour. Like, I would never say that, because what if you're Paul Reed hearing that? Hey, thanks for working your ass off. Now you'll never start. But for me, I just feel like he's the closest thing to an answer that the Sixers have. He's not the answer, but he's the closest thing the Sixers have to an answer while Joel Embiid is out.
I understand, again, the hesitation with Paul Reed because, again, you saw when he got in the game in game one, like the man's a foul magnet. Like he's going to, attract fouls like, flies are, attracted to the light in the summer. But that said, you saw how terrible DeAndre Jordan was at the start of game one. And I think we all kind of felt that DeAndre Jordan was going to be that bad because, again, him, trying to defend Bam Adebayo, just a bad matchup, off the rip. But when you just saw how bad it was in the first 5 minutes, I think he was a -12 in those first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And Doc, for whatever reason, went back to him later, and then in the post-game press conference, got upset that people, thought, throughout the fact that, DeAndre Jordan was so bad, maybe you want to switch this out. He got upset at the fact that people said, hey, maybe Paul Reed's a better option. And I guess he wanted to pass the blame on the players, saying the players wanted DeAndre Jordan over Paul Reed. Why would you want a player who was so inefficient on defense you had to pull him out in 4 minutes? I just don't understand it.
See, but here's my take on that. I think what went down was he had that conversation with James Harden, maybe Tobias Harris, and they're probably like, all right, we got to get the veteran. Let's give the veteran a chance. And that I almost understand. Like, okay. I understand that. But at halftime, you mean to tell me those players were still banging that drum for DeAndre Jordan to get out there? Are you kidding me? There's no way.
DeAndre Jordan, again, he was, I think it was a -12 in the first half. Paul Reed came in and he went small, with Niang and those guys, and you had the lead at halftime. Clearly, everything you did in the non-DeAndre Jordan minutes in the first half worked. And then you went away from it immediately at the start of the second half. You went down, I think, 5 immediately before you got him out. And then from there, it was just, like you were just kind of dug yourself too big of a hole. I just don't, I understand, if you want to placate your veterans a little bit, understand, I get that a little bit. If it's not working, it's not working. And if you're not going to coach this team and do what you think is right, then just let Tobias and James Harden coach. Just let them coach if you're going to let them, call the shots.
Even if you go into halftime and the player's like, hey, we're still running with Jordan, right? We're DJ. Like, as a coach, you got to be like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah,
like,
no.
we just had a 16-6 run to close this out. We're up a point thanks to Paul Reed. In part, thanks to Paul Reed. But okay, so that's the Paul Reed victory tour that I'll continue on from now on. When it comes to this particular offense, right, without Joel Embiid, you mentioned Tobias Harris stepping up. Is there any chance that the bench is going to step up? Is George Niang going to continue his 0-for-7 shooting? Is somebody going to come out? Is Furkan Korkmaz going to get reps? Who's coming off the Shake Milton? Who's the guy that's going to come off that bench and actually give you some minutes?
I wish I knew. And that's the thing. Whenever anybody asked me about the Sixers and, their playoff prospects, the number one thing I kept coming back to was the bench. It's like you need to have just functional shooters, functional scorers off the bench when your big guys are either hurt or they just don't have it that night or anything like that. If you look around, look at Miami, Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, look at Milwaukee. They have a couple of guys who come off the bench. The Sixers don't have that consistent scorer off the bench. Shake Milton will give you a game maybe once a series. Furkan, we barely see him unless it's garbage time. We saw him a little bit in game one. There's no consistent guy that you can count on off the bench. George Niang is probably the closest thing to it, but he's dragging around a bum leg, and he was, 0-for-7? From 3 on Monday. So they just don't have that guy who can just be that guy who can come in, give you a spark, give you a quick 8, 10, 12 points, stop a run, not let the game get out of hand in the second quarter. And that's probably going to be their downfall, whether it comes this series or later.
Where are you right now on Doc Rivers? Does he come back next year, or do you want to bring in somebody else? Is he just not the guy? What do you think when it comes to Doc Rivers?
Personally, I wouldn't bring him back next year because, again, I think he's probably, hit his limit with this team. I think the Embiid injury probably buys him a year. I think it's just one of those things where it's one of those things where, Joel Embiid doesn't play. And I don't be honest with you, I'm not sure if this team, with Embiid, probably, would have beaten Miami anyway. But I think this might buy him an extra year because, again, you'll get a full year of James Harden. You'll get hopefully a full year of a healthy Embiid. Maybe you can run this back next year and with a better roster and see where that goes. But yeah, I just think, he's probably met his limit with this team, just like we saw Brett Brown. Brett Brown hit his limit with that team.
Yeah.
And so when a coach has kind of pushed the team to as far as they can go. So I think Doc Rivers probably needs to move on to another situation, but I don't think he will.
The thing that I'll always take away from Brett Brown was his last press conference as the Sixers head coach after they got eliminated from the bubble. And maybe Keith Pompey asked him the question, Brett, did we ever see this team? Did we ever see you coach this team with 100% healthy, full potential lineup.
Right.
Brett Brown, no. That was it. That was like, well, he's not lying. He's not lying.
No.
James Harden.
Yes.
Bum hamstring or old as hell? What are we looking at here, Roy?
Doc said a couple of weeks ago that James Harden's hamstring wasn't a problem. Whether or not he's a gifted liar, or maybe no, he's a liar. Okay, because I think we all see,
and he's not that gifted. Yeah,
he's not that gifted.
Yeah,
we all see,
as a liar. Yeah.
James Harden can't get past anybody, and that's the thing. Like, part of his game was, again, giving the option of either blowing by his guy, getting to the basket, getting a foul, an and one or things like that, or the option of that step back three, creating space with that dribble. He just doesn't. He can't get past anybody. He can't create space between him and his defender. And then, when he tries to get by somebody, he hunts for the foul and doesn't get it. And then when he doesn't get the foul, then everything just kind of goes to hell because he's looking for the foul and not, into the flow of the game. I've had conversations with, my co-host on my Saturday show, Chris Domingo, and we brought up maybe this is Chris Webber 2.0 situation. I remember Chris Webber came here in the twilight of his career. So yeah. I don't want to go there yet, but I'm getting a little bit of those vibes.
Thank you. Now I'm going to have cold sweats tonight. Appreciate you.
I'm sorry.
Roy, how many games is this series going to go? How many games? How many games is this series going to go?
I'm feeling optimistic that Joel Embiid comes back game 3. I think he comes back in game 3. I think we get Phantom of the Opera in game 3. I think we get a little juice game 3. So I think we get 2 wins. So I'll say Sixers probably fall in 6 games.
6 games? Okay, that's
6.
All right.
What do you think? Where are you going with this?
Oh, I think they're not even going to play the rest of the series. I think they're done. No, I honestly could see the Sixers winning 1 game. Because even if Joel Embiid does come back, I mean, he overcame the thumb injury. That's great. He's got the guy's got a broken face. Like, if he plays with a broken face and plays 35 points, you know what I'm saying? Like, it gets 35 points for you, then the man they should just say, sorry, Joker, not this year. Redo the voting, and he should be MVP. It's not happening, obviously. I see the Sixers getting eliminated in 5 games. I think they'll steal 1 game, and I hate to even say steal it, but that's where I see them going, unfortunately. Roy Burton, you're a first-time guest on the Farzy Show, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Would you indulge us and play a little Farzy 5 with us?
Let's do it.
All right, let me just bring in the band real quick. Hold on. These guys are guys. Quit smoking the cigarettes. All right, put that out. All right, let's go. Gosh. Take forever, these guys, with the band singing. Are you playing? Thank you. These guys. All right, first question, Roy.
Yes, sir.
First question. Best job before the Broad Street line. Best job before the Broad Street line.
Best job before the Broad Street line.
Little Roy Burton, what were you doing?
I was a tutor at Temple University. I used to tutor some of the athletes there, some of the basketball players back at Temple back in the days.
Really?
Yeah, Lynn Greer.
I did not know that. Lynn Greer, you tutored Lynn Greer.
Absolutely, I did.
I never knew that. That's amazing.
Yeah,
what the hell? Hey, you think you know a guy? What was his rough subject? What was the worst subject?
Well, see, I was a business school guy, so he was in business, but he was one of those guys who didn't take a lot of notes and kind of rolled up the class when he wanted to. But you don't say. Still able to get B's and B minuses and just kind of go halfway. So
gotcha.
He was one of those guys. So
okay, gotcha. Okay. Next question. Go to fast food place.
That's a good question. Wow. I don't know. I'm a big Five Guys fan, so I'll go Five Guys.
Ooh,
I like Five Guys.
Now here's my deal, and I know I'm a rare breed for this, but I don't consider Five Guys fast food, and here's why.
Because it's slow.
Exactly. You don't have a drive-through. You don't have a drive-through.
You gotta wait.
Yeah.
You gotta wait a little bit.
Yeah. How fast are you? You don't got a drive-through. Anyway,
That's
but it is delicious, and the way they just don't give a damn and just throw the fries in the bag. Still my heart. First date deal breaker for Roy Burton.
Ooh, first date deal breaker.
First date deal breaker.
Cowboys fan.
Ooh, you're the first, man. You're the first to say that.
Bro, you've been on this. How long have you been doing this show? I'm the first guy who's ever said that.
You're the first guy that said she was a Cowboys fan.
Really?
Yeah, she's a Cowboys fan. I'm out.
Gotta go.
That's a great one.
Thank you.
It seems petty, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Favorite city to travel to?
That's a very. I will go New Orleans. I love the food down there. New Orleans is amazing food.
We just had Josh Adams, former Eagles running back, on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
Oof, we were talking about some New Orleans food, my friend. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
Roy Burton, you seem like a swell guy. That's what I do know about you. You're a swell guy. I don't know about you tutoring Lynn Greer and all that stuff, but here's the deal. When it comes to beeping at people in traffic, what makes you beep your horn in traffic?
Oh, in traffic. I'm not a beeper because again, people kind of get a little crazy out there. I'll say this though. I do get it unnerves me a little bit if I don't get the little wave. If I let somebody go.
Yes. I can't believe it's been this long. We've asked this question a bunch. No one said the no thank you wave drives you crazy.
I need the wave. Just a little wave.
Just give me a little.
I let you in the lane. Just a little. I'm not asking for much.
I didn't even need you to mean it. Just give me a.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hold it up there. Like I'm like, if somebody lets me in, I hold it up there for like an extra beat, just to see if they'll acknowledge that they saw my thank you.
Yeah. So sometimes you even got to put it out the window. It's like, hey,
sometimes you gotta,
I just want you to see this.
It's very aggressive. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Roy Burton, thank you so much, my friend. Much appreciated. Also, make sure you guys follow. You guys can cut. Thank you. Thank you, Roy Burton. Great talking and great catching up with you. Make sure you guys check out Roy every Saturday morning as well. Roy, thank you so much, my friend. Greatly appreciated. Great to catch up with you.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. The great Roy Burton joining the show on the Rutherford Orthopedics guest line. Roy Burton of Broad Street Line. Can you imagine that for a second? You're teaching Lynn Greer and you're like as a tutor. Lynn Greer was right before me at Temple. My Temple, I had Marty Collins. That was my years at Temple. It was the Marty Collins Marty Collins Temple Owls. Wasn't a good run. It was not a good run. But Lynn Greer, I did not know that. I think I called him Hal by accident, confusing with Hal Lear for a second. But Lynn Greer, that's pretty incredible. I did not know that about my man. Pretty awesome. And yeah, I started interviewing him at 700 level. Just a good dude, and I was so happy he got the Eagles Outsiders gig at NBC for a minute, and then they decided to just do something totally different. But yeah, that's such a great guy. Great to talk hoops with him. Make sure you guys check him out Saturday during his radio show as well. And I'll be on that show. That was one of the guest hits I was doing yesterday. We taped the interview for Saturday, and then we had a little exchange, and he came on my show right after. But the Chris Webber reference, just to unpack that for a second. Maybe you guys remember this. I know I had this conversation in my own circles, in my own private circles, but the James Harden deal before it went down, it reminded me in a way of the Chris Webber deal, getting a guy who was a star, but after the star's prime. And I know and I knew that we were going to be getting James Harden post-prime. And I knew that this was going to be diminishing returns on your investment. It wasn't going to be, anything that was going to be worthwhile in a couple years. Certainly not one that I would sign a long-term deal to. And what I have seen so far from James Harden is somebody that's a lot farther away from that star line than I thought he was. So in the question of would you give James Harden that huge contract at the end of this year? No. I don't mind having James Harden on this team as long as James Harden is aware that he's not that star guy anymore and aware that he knows he needs to have that other guy on the court and not just Joel Embiid. If you're able to, and Tobias Harris has played great in the playoffs, he's played phenomenal defense, he's been one of your most consistent players. Certainly not in scoring. I'm not just talking about scoring, but just overall, you've been getting pretty consistent play from Tobias Harris, especially on the defensive end. He obviously was your leading scorer with 27 points in game one of this series against the Heat, which is great. But if you're telling me you can get Bradley Beal on this team, I'll tell you this much. Tobias Harris has worked himself in more to stay here, whereas James Harden has worked his way more to leave here. And here's what would shock me. Daryl Morey making the trade for James Harden, then moving on from James Harden almost immediately. That would shock me. But it doesn't look like James Harden is the guy that is at all worth what the Sixers could be paying him next year if he opts into his deal and then the contract extension after that, which is well over $200 million. No thanks. Not happening. You guys can be best friends all you want. You can hug while you're walking off of planes as often as you want. You can't give James Harden a contract that can be that fat. No thanks. Not happening. Please, dear Lord, no. Let me tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, about Rothman Orthopedics, the great people of Rothman Orthopedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at rothmanortho.com. That's rothmanortho.com. Guys, we have that new sponsor, that new partner of the Farzy Show. And how would you like 20% off your CBD? Huh? How would you like that? Yeah, do I have your attention? Well, check out Freestone Farm CBD, the best CBD brand, because they farm it themselves with organic inputs, and they offer some education along with it on what they grow and how they grow it to make it the best quality products on the market. I'm sure you've tried a lot of different brands, but honestly, Freestone Farm CBD is amazing. It's great right after you're working out. It's great right before you go to bed to help you sleep. It's fantastic. Check them out at FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. That's FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. You'll find all the information right there. Their menu is off the charts. You absolutely have to check that out as well with strains like their insane tropical tasting Bayox is amazing. That clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu Kush. 21%. The genetics in these things are absolutely incredible, so you got to check them out. There's absolutely nothing synthetic about this from this jar. They're great. After harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just look or smell is enough to know it's CBD done right, and that this product is great for anyone looking to take a natural approach to everything that they put into their bodies. Oh, and how about this? Like I said, 20% off. You want 20% off? Use promo code Farzy at checkout. That's promo code Farzy at checkout. Promo code Farzy at checkout at FreestoneFarmsCBD.com for 20% off. That's FreestoneFarmsCBD.com. Let me tell you about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the chat check and see how all you fine people are doing. Oh, by the way, just let me put a bow on this. Chris Webber and James Harden are not the same, but it is like. I just want to make sure I get that out of the way. You're getting a lot more from James Harden than you got from Chris Webber. So let me just make sure that that's out there for all to digest. Mally, what's going on? One Guapo, what's going on? JJ's podcast is great to listen to. Mally, you're correct. The old man in the 3 is fantastic. Dan Schwartz, good morning to you. Mally, you know Mark is in a serious mode today. Got the dark button up on. Only one button undone. No porn star Farzy today. I know we get into this later. And please, star of erotica. I'm not a porn star. Star of erotica. Thank you. This is the shirt. I know I get into this later in the chat. This is the shirt with the plunging neckline. If you want me to, you want me to pop this button? No, it's a family show. I'm not going to pop the button. That's just it. We wait till we get to the dog days of summer. Oh, baby. I might even be topless. Anyway. What? Dan, I threw $15 in the toilet this morning. Bet the Sixers to win tonight. Dan, I don't hate the Sixers tonight. I don't. I gotta check their line. Are you talking about the cover or to win? That's always the differential that you got to make there. But if you're looking at, I thought the Sixers were 7.5 underdogs. I meant to check earlier this morning. I did not. 8. It's Sixers plus 8 right now. So yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll cover that. Rather than Tobias at $180 million a contract, Harden at $250 over the next 5 years. No way. Don't care. Morey and him are butt buddies. If you're referring to me as butt buddy, then yes, my name is Brennan Huff. Phenomenal. I smoked pot with Johnny Hopkins. All right, I'm not going down a Step Brothers rabbit hole. DeAndre Jordan is the Rager of the Sixers. Wow, Mally. That's funny. April, good morning. What's happening? Weed wouldn't be enough, Mally. What, to watch the Sixers? Or to give James Harden $250 million over 5 years? Yeah, not happening. What is with the Phillies lately? Damn it, sixth inning. I don't know, Mal. I wish I knew. Boom, last year it was the hitting. This year it's the fielding. Crazy. Isn't it funny how that works out? Baseball's a funny game, as they say. Practicing my crane kick on the bay now. Mullet out there in Okinawa. I made a reference. The Mullet did hit me up on Twitter and sent me a picture of his view in Okinawa. And I said it was the best thing I've seen in Okinawa since Karate Kid 2. Now, the kicker here is that Karate Kid 2 was not a good movie. Karate Kid 3, also not a good movie. However, I love culture, and the Okinawa culture was pretty cool. The Japanese culture, seeing that in the movie was pretty cool. I remember the lady with the handkerchief, and she was wiping down the chopsticks or whatever that was. That was pretty awesome. I like that scene where she was preparing for this Italian kid from Jersey, this traditional Japanese meal to show that she loved him. And I thought that was beautiful. And all these years later, after not watching the movie for a long time, I still remember that scene. And I remember the scene where Danny LaRusso broke the weight in half because guess what? It wasn't a weight. You were ripping those people off in the marketplace. There you go. For the longest time, I had one of those drum things. The little things that had a drum and the two little pellets, whatever they were, on either side, and you turn it and it makes the drum sound. Karate Kid 2, check it out, kids. Check it out. Even though I just told you it's not that good of a movie. The end is pretty clutch. I will say that. I did not think I'd get into Karate Kid 2 today, but here we are. What the Phillies need is Mr. Miyagi, is what I'm telling you. The Sixers need Mr. Miyagi to do the rubbing of the hands thing together and then touch Joel Embiid's broken face and then get him back in the lineup. And his thumb, too, while he's at it. Still not concerned with Harden because it's clear he isn't all the way healthy, and this team is not built around him and Embiid yet. They're just hoping based on talent. They're not a team yet, says Real Time. Cameron, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Heat will win easily again. Sixers need Embiid. Harden hasn't taken 20-plus shots for the ages. Yeah, 20-plus shots is not even what I'm concerned about. Like, I want 10 made baskets, like 10 made field goals. And, yes, he'll need like 30 shots to do that. Hero and Tucker are GTD. Oh, yeah, that's pretty true. Harden win 108 to 92. Heat win 108 to 92. I think Cameron is a Heat fan. I think that. Phillies feel no different this year. Shouldn't be that way. The team identity of their lifeless, lethargic manager. Wow. The team has taken the identity of their lifeless, lethargic manager. They got zero personality again. Schwarber going nuts was the only life I've seen. Dan, that was fun, seeing that. I'd like to see a better than 188 batting average, though, from a guy who's been leadoff hitter most of the season. Real Time's calling the Sixers to win tonight, 106 to 102. Phil, good morning. Paul, good morning. Alyssa, good morning. April, hello again. Schwarber was the only one on fire. Everyone else going through the motions. It certainly seems like that. Dan Schwartz, screw college, Mark. Let Mike Cover know that I plan on hitting ball. Oh, Mike Seibert. Let him know I plan on hitting balls for a living. There you go. April. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. It's early in the season, says Mally. Believe it's going to start to click. Let's hope so. Alyssa, Mark is snotty this morning. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. What did Odubel not play last night because of allergies? What was the deal there with that Odubel Herrera character? So yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, Roman Quinn got the start last night. That's right. But yeah, my allergies have been off the charts. Alyssa, you have the guy. He only got one button undone. Do you guys really? If you guys want to see this, if you need the two buttons unbuttoned, I'm not shy. Eh? Eh? No. All right. Anyway. By the way, I tried to jump in at the end of the chat yesterday when you guys were talking about how I said, tell your wife how I said, what's up or what up or whatever. I thought about it afterwards. Still respectful. What would have been disrespectful is tell your wife, sup. That would have been disrespectful. I even knew who the nice girl was that I went to school with. He have an unbuttoning for OnlyFans. Mally, yes, thank you. Alyssa loves the plunging neckline line. I mean, really, that's the only way to describe it. April says those buttons are spaced pretty far apart. Laugh out loud. That's the Fabio special. It is like Fabio, but I'm bald. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Stop being freaky, Mark. Starch job? As they say in Beer Fest, if you don't know, you can't afford it. Real time. There is no way this is Chris Webber 2.0. Webber had years and years of surgeries. We overreacting now. I'm just talking about production, baby. That's all I'm talking about. And that's why I do make the distinction. Like, are you getting a star past their prime? Yes. I would love to believe that James Harden, this is just a hamstring thing, and he's got 5 years left in him of slowly diminishing returns on your investment, not going over a steep cliff. Let's hope that's the case, that he's got years of diminishing returns. Sixers are done. Okay. What else do we have here? Plunging neckline cut. Yes, again, you're welcome. Real time. Five Guys isn't fast food. It's food you eat fast. I like how you put that. Roy not lying. If you don't want to wave. This Chris Webber deal was more clear cut than Harden. He was done when he left the Kings. I remember correct. Yeah. I think most people realize that when Chris Webber got traded to the Sixers, I remember the number one thing people said about him was, such a great passer. And I'm like, well, he's going to need to be because he's playing with AI. In the words of Sonny Hill, who told me this, and I think he said it on the air too, when he would talk to Iverson about shooting so many shots, Iverson would always say, Sonny, I pass them the ball, but they always pass it back. What can I do about that? Real time. Mark has cleavage. I eat Five Guys. Okay. Whatever I can do to help. Oh no, we got fake angry in the chat. What? Sixers are done. The process was a failure. Tony, hello, good morning. As of right now, the process has been a failure. And I know people always go, oh, you got Embiid. Yeah, you got Embiid, but you could have done that with a tank. You didn't have to do the process. People have tanked before for good players. Never before had anyone done a process, which is like 3.5 years of trying to be the worst team in basketball, only get to the cap floor, spend the minimum basically. No one had done that for the amount of years Sam Hinkie wanted to do it and was willing to do it. You can tank for a great player. A process was to tank for multiple great players over a long period of time and compile those assets and players to win championships, or at least compete for the playoff, or at least compete for a championship consistently, be a perennial contender for a championship. And the Sixers have not done that. If you haven't made it out of the second round of the playoffs, you ain't that much of a contender. So still waiting for that to kick in. Yes, I'm happy they got Joel Embiid. Oh, no, I haven't, because I only see somebody charged him, right? This is going to bother me now because I saw this right before I started the show today. So I don't have all the details on it, but it seems like it's absolutely bonkers. And I'm going to see if I can't just pull something up on it real quick from a credible source. Dave Chappelle tackled by a man who rushed the stage during the comedian's performance at Hollywood Bowl. This is a story from ABC Los Angeles. Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage at the Hollywood Bowl Tuesday night by a man who tackled him during his performance. Oh, there is. Of course, there's footage of it. Witness at the show took to social media saying the man rushed the stage and tackled Chappelle. According to ABC News, Chappelle, the man tussled on the stage floor before the man ran away behind a screen on stage. Security staff surrounded and tackled the man in the rear corner of the stage. Chappelle appeared to run toward the altercation, saying the man was being stomped. Chappelle asked repeatedly for security to remove the man from the stage. Comedian Chris Rock, who performed earlier in the night, came on stage with Chappelle moments after the attack and joked, "Was that Will Smith?" Los Angeles police confirmed the eyewitness. Oh, this is wow. Chappelle uninjured from the attack. Video posted to social media showed him continuing the show. That's insane. Like, I've seen Chappelle in concert, and he's one of those guys that's very protective of phones. Like, you can't have your phone out. I think some of his shows, they actually either put your phone in that little sealed basket. You ever seen these little pouches you put your phone in? But yeah, he's very protective of that. So that'd be funny. I haven't seen the social media footage yet. I'm looking for it. It's not up yet. But yeah, so Chappelle's okay. Chappelle's okay. That's a good thing. Let's continue with the chat here. Sean, star of erotica. Weed pills are definitely working. Mark coming out in a white tank top during the summer. April, don't put it past me. That's my natural uniform. Bobby Boucher, what's up, buddy? Chappelle's crew demolished the fool. Oh boy, now I really want to see the what was going on there. Why am I seeing Met Gala pictures? No thanks. Oh, here it is. All right, let's see if I can give you a play-by-play of this. Seems really far away. Spotlight on the stage. There's something happening. And let me just mute that real quick. I'll try to give you an exact play-by-play of all this jazz. This never works, but why not give it a shot? Yeah, this is just people standing on a stage. That's not helpful. The bottom line is Dave Chappelle's okay, and I'm happy to be able to report that. Or pass it along to you, not so much report it. Holy crude, just saw it, says John Axelrod. Dude's arm. The guy's arm looks like a parallelogram. April, what's going on? Hello again, Mally. Oh, this is great. You guys are fantastic. Thank you, everyone in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Check back with you guys tomorrow. Now I'm really curious because I want to give you like my legit reaction. All right, here's the guy carried out in a stretcher. Oh, damn. Yeah, the arm is not supposed to bend that way. Oh, this is a ginormous venue. Yeah, okay, this guy's arm is making a Z shape. Good luck to you, son. All right, thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Thank you for reminding me of that, Miss Guzzi. Phillies back in action tonight for game 2 of their 3-game set they have against the Rangers. Hopefully the Phillies can put a win together tonight. That'd be nice. We'd all like that, wouldn't we? 2-game set. Sorry, this is a brief 2-game series. Zach Wheeler gets the hill tonight for the Phillies, and the Sixers are back at it, obviously, in game 2 of their series against the Heat. 7:30 start time on TNT. I hope Doc Rivers was just feeling really testy and will not go with the like it or not scenario that he put out to us 2 nights ago when he said DeAndre Jordan is going to start whether you like it or not. The better call is B-Ball Paul. So let's go with him tonight, Doc. Let's put your best foot forward because you're going to need that against a team that's far superior to you in the Miami Heat. Without Joel Embiid, this is your best bet. It's not a great bet, but it's the best one you got. It's time to unleash the fury of B-Ball Paul. Unleash the fury of B-Ball Paul starting tonight. Put him in that starting lineup. He has fouls. Deal with it. But one thing's for sure, I don't want to see DeAndre Jordan start out in this game. You can go to the evidence that JJ Reddick put forward. JJ Reddick, who loves DeAndre Jordan, said the same thing. He can't do it. I played it for you at the top of the show. Now's the time to hand the ball to B-Ball Paul and say, start things out, my man. Start things out. All you got to do is be the 5th best player on this lineup. That's it. And in the starting 5. Be better than DeAndre Jordan. And Tyrese Maxey, please play within yourself. James Harden, play within the 32-year-old bum hamstring, quote-unquote, version of yourself. Tobias Harris, keep bringing whatever it is you're bringing every night to the court because you got that juju, my friend. You got that mojo back. Sixers do that, they'll have a chance to win in the 4th quarter. They don't do that, it's going to be a long plane ride home and a lot of fingers crossed that Joel Embiid is able to come back and hopefully help the Sixers team at least win a game. Hopefully that'll be game 3 and then maybe win game 4 as well before going back to Miami. They don't do that. It's going to be a 5-game series at the longest. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Coming to you live every day at 6 a.m. from the Steven Singer Studios. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a wonderful job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.